Yo, Joe. Scarlett, I'd put those clothes back on because I'm not interested.
Hey guys, Daniel Jerome here with another Hashtag Hotspot. We're in Hollywood, California at the historic Egyptian Theater. We're gonna see an amazing double feature tonight, starting with 1986 Transformers movie, which arguably is the one and only real Transformers movie, followed by the G.I. Joe animated feature. We're gonna speak with some of the cast and crew from both of those films, as well as go ahead and discuss some things with more other people. Don't know what the fuck more other people means. Hey guys, I'm here with the one and only Michael Bell. This man has had a hand in forming my childhood and kind of creating me into the hero I am today. So
So glad you're not a serial killer.
I'm here with the amazing man of a million voices, Neil Ross.
Man of 1,000 vices. Voices!
Either or is fine. We're here at the Egyptian Theater covering one of the most amazing events that I think I've ever been able to come to, which is a re-showing and a proper showing of G.I. Joe and Transformers. Essentially, I'm getting to relive my childhood the way I should have, and I'm here with the one and only Buzz Dixon. Now, Buzz, tell the people exactly to what extent were you involved in this greatness?
Well, I started out as a staff writer for G.I. Joe, and then I was brought on as an assistant story editor for Joe, and then also did staff writing for Transformers, Gem, My Little Pony, Inhumanoids, Visionaries. Pretty much anything that Sunbow did, I wrote at least 1 or 2 episodes of.
I don't even know where to start because you've done so much. But as far as Sunbow, give us just a small breakdown of what you've done as far as the Sunbow family.
Oh boy. Well, G.I. Joe, Garfield.
Yes.
I broke into the Sunbow studio once, and cameras are missing, but wait.
Yeah, well, you know, that's different. We're here with legendary voice director. Iconic. And of course, very iconic voice director, Wally Heber. Now, Wally, besides being modest, as we already saw, tell us, how many projects have you worked with as far as Sunbow is involved?
450. That's the figure I have in my mind, and I've counted that up a number of times. They started. Oh gosh, I was trying to think whether I've got the list of shows. Yes, I do. I've got it back here.
Whoa. Well, that is a huge.
Here we go. Transformers, G.I. Joe, Exo Squad. That's for Universal. You ever watched it?
I loved Exo Squad. It's one of my favorite shows.
It was intended to maybe make it in prime time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And Gem and the Holograms, which is a girls' show. Exo Squad was Universal's, had nothing to do with Hasbro. But Gem and the Holograms was Hasbro. Spider-Man I did when Mr. Spider-Man the Man. What am I talking about? The original author of Spider-Man.
Stan Lee.
Stan Lee came to L.A. and he was out there on an office on Van Nuys Boulevard, and I did 26 episodes with him at the very beginning, doing a preamble and ending it with Excelsior.
Out of all the voices you've ever done, which one was your favorite?
Oh boy. Well, the character of Shipwreck in G.I. Joe has been very rewarding. I mean, people love the guy. I love the character. It's a lot of fun to play. So he's right up there on.
Okay. Would you be willing to play a little round of shotgun voiceover?
Well, I'll try. I'm not that quick as an ad-libber, but we'll see what happens.
All right, I have a list. Of course, I have to rely on the list to do it. So let me see. Well, we mentioned Shipwreck, so Let's try Shipwreck.
Hoy mateys, this your old pal Shipwreck. They dragged me out of the brig and brought me down here to do this interview. So it's a thrill to be here.
We have a game that we love to do with voiceover artists where we call it shotgun voiceover. So what I want to do is go over just a kind of list of people that you've done voices for.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh,
And
wow.
see if you remember them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
All right, I'm going to have to...
I don't remember what I had for lunch. Okay.
No, I think you'll do good. Let's start off. Well, you were on the Smurfs, and you did a few different characters. Could we hear Grouchy Smurf?
I hate Smurf that.
On Harvey Birdman, you were Dr. Benton Quest at one time also, but do you want to try to do Dr. Benton Quest?
I only did that once, and as I recall, he's somewhere in this neighborhood. Very heroic and very stentorian, and but I only did him once.
Bringing it back to Sunbow. Now, all the voices that you have already done, I know this is going to sound weird, and maybe this is just self-serving, but I'd love you to do some of those voices. Do you remember how to do any? Like Garfield, the voice you did on Garfield. That would be great.
There was,
Because
I did Fluffy who spoke like this. And then it was Fast Eddie was his friend, and he always listened, and then he said, what are you going to do now, for God's sakes?
how about, well, the classic that everyone wants to hear, Duke.
But Duke was over here. Duke was, Yo Joe. Scarlett, I'd put those clothes back on because I'm not interested.
So Duke's clearly asexual. Is that what?
Yeah, but he can't, you listen, he looks great in clothes. I don't know what he looks like without his clothes. Looks fabulous in clothes. And he looks so much like me, so I understood why they cast me.
Could you give us a little bit more insight onto what it is to be a voice casting director?
Well, some people do use a casting director, and others prefer to cast themselves. I prefer doing it, not for the title or for the ego stroking. I want to know what the actor's like, and I get through perhaps reading him for why I called him in. Then I'll say, what else you got in mind? What other things do you do? Oh, I play. I can actually play an old woman. I can, you fool around with a guy and you learn what he's like, and you can stick that in your hip pocket to say later on, hey, I remember you did, and you get to know the actor better that way. Whereas if you get somebody else handling all of the casting, you've just heard perhaps one or two takes of them, and okay, but it's not the involvement with the actor that I like to have. So I enjoyed actually having the actor in the studio and then putting my recommendation on it when it goes to producers, and it's a greater in-depth recognition of the actor's ability.
Oh, well, you did do Voltron for a little bit.
Yes, I did Lance on Voltron, which was, oh, what do we do now? Wait a minute, we're in the vortex. And of course, the other character was Sven, who spoke like this, but we are going, this is where we're at, and here, this is what we're going to do now, yes.
You mentioned Gem and other Sunbow amazing properties themselves. How do you feel that there's such a resurgence now as far as Sunbow properties? Gem itself is looking into becoming a live action. We've already experienced the whole Transformers resurgence, G.I. Joe. How do you feel about all these things happening now, and that knowing that you had a great hand in even creating them?
Well, as I've told people, when I was in the 1960s, I was a science fiction fan, and I had read about the great bullpen at EC Comics, the guys who were doing Tales from the Crypt and weird science fantasy and things like this. And I always wanted to be involved in something where not only would you be hanging around and working with a bunch of really great creative people, but you'd also be doing something that would be remembered 10, 20, 30 years later, the way that the EC Comics are still remembered to this day. And I got my wish. I got to work for Sunbow with an incredible group of people. Michael Bell, Flint Dilley, Wally Burr, Steve Gerber, who was, from Marvel, Marv Wolfman. I mean, all of these incredible people that I got to work with. And even though he wasn't working at Sunbow, this guy named Frank Miller used to come by and tell us about this Batman comic he was doing. I mean, Frank would come by and have lunch with us, and he'd be working out, the various Batman ideas and telling what he was developing for the Dark Knight. So I mean, it was just a great environment to be in. And now, 30 years later, people are coming up to me and saying, you made my childhood. I used to run home and watch the show and whatnot. I love hearing that from people. I'm very happy that I was able to contribute to something that made people happy, and they still remember fondly to this day.
The Hulk on Incredible Hulk. You did, yeah, that's right. Could you do a little banner for us in just some kind of way?
Banner was me. Banner always, every single show was, "Hi, don't get what's happening to me." And then of course Bob Holt, Holt, took over, went, and then of course after he was finished screaming for 20 pages, he came back to me and I went, oh, look at my shirt is all torn, and then Bob stopped and he went, okay, wait a minute, this is the first show we did. He said, wait a minute, that's all you do? And I said, yeah. He said, I'm screaming, I just left a lung on the window. Are we getting paid the same amount of money? And I said, yeah. And he went, okay, this is a joke, isn't it? That's all you do? And I said, yeah. You just go, ah, ow, ooh, and I'm going, blah. And I said, yeah. It's really funny. He was brilliant.
I understand you were Marvin the Martian once on Pinky and the Brain. Do you think we can pull that out?
Yes, it's... Hello there. It's been so long. He keeps dragging these things out that I only did one episode of, and it's hard to recapture the magic, but it's somewhere in that neighborhood. Given time, I can improve.
That was great. Could you say space modulator?
You're better than I am. Space modulator.
And currently, at the moment, what work are you doing now? Voiceover or on screen, behind screen?
Right now, I got cast. I'm a reoccurring character in the new Rescue Bots series, which is the Transformers, but now it's Rescue Bots. Yeah. And it's the kids. It's mostly kids, and I play High Tide. He's a ship. He's a big ship. Yeah. He's a pirate.
What an amazing night. I loved every minute of it. If you're going to be in the Hollywood area and you want to come to an event just like this, check out American Cinematheque at the Egyptian Theater, or go to Uvine's website, damagedgoods.com with 2 M's. It was great. Thanks, guys. Good night.